Hello, everybody, and welcome to the inaugural episode of Yinz On Ice. I'm Cadeyn McCrory, alongside me, Kaleb McCabe. Yinz On Ice, powered by Old City Sports Network. Thank you to them for giving us this opportunity to talk about our favorite team for the most part. Kaleb is sometimes a Hawks fan. I'm sometimes a Kings fan. This is a Pittsburgh-based show for the most part. Go to www.oldcitysports.com for all your favorite OCSN podcasts, articles, and much more. And use promo code OLDCITY, that's with an E, for 15% off site-wide. I have a couple of articles up there about the Penguins. Kaleb maybe contributes as well at some point about anything hockey. We got pretty fair game with all that kind of stuff. Also, shout out to a couple of other sponsors we have here today. We have Delco's by Aaron.com for all your Delco product needs and merchandise, your number one spot for anything Delco. As well as SeatGeek, download the app and use promo code Old City Sports Network for $20 off your first purchase. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If not, if you're on the Facebook, Old City Sports Network. We'll get started here with the season recap here, Kaleb. It wasn't the greatest season for Penguins fans. I think there's a lot more expectations for the team, and the bar was about here. I think the start of the season, it was down to here pretty dang quick.
I think the bar was pretty low, and the Penguins still found a way to disappoint. It was painful to watch most nights, pretty much until Koivunen and McGroarty came up together. It was sad. It was pathetic. After you saw an 87 point, you can kind of just turn the game off. Like that's all you cared about anymore anyway.
You remember Rucker started the season too on the active roster, and then it was after a couple games skid. So you know what? Maybe it's not the best idea to have him up here. Maybe he's not as polished. He goes to Wilkes-Barre and kind of finds his game. But what we saw in preseason from Rucker McGroarty, I think excited everybody in the Penguins fan base. And then the first couple of those games, you're just kind of disappointed. But also you remember that he's 20 years old. And he's not played an NHL game prior to this. But as we saw at the end of the season, before the injury, I know a lot of Wilkes-Barre fans, including Sam, who's a part of OCSN, were not very happy with the Rucker going up and then getting hurt and eventually ruining Wilkes-Barre's playoff run. But the development that he had was from point A to point B was very well. And that's a lot of credit to the Wilkes-Barre coaching staff.
Yeah, he was night and day better from the first stint to the end. I think we all kind of forget. We see these guys in preseason and we think, oh my God, they're incredible. And we're like, this guy's going to drop 45, 50 points in his rookie season. And then everyone starts trying. And these guys they're 20 years old. He's never played a game of professional hockey before in his life. So I think we all kind of forgot to temper the expectations a little bit. So then we were way up here and he was here. And then it was all just thrown off. But then when he came back up he got caught up in late March, something like that. He was night and day better. He was unreal.
It's one of the bright spots to end the season as well, as long as the guy like Ville Koivunen. The one down spot the entire year, and especially in the first 15 games or so, you look as the defense and the goaltending. And we'll start with the goaltending first here, because I think that's the biggest thing that we're going to talk about throughout the entire offseason, especially from this week to the end of right before the draft, is the first buyout window. And a guy like Tristan Jarry, his start to the season was probably one of the worst we have seen in recent memory.
It's definitely up there. It was bad. There was a stretch in the whole defense and combined. There was a stretch 15 games into the season. We had blown a multi-goal lead in 8 games and lost those games, which is just it just can't. That just can't be happening.
If you have 87 on your team, no matter what, there's no reason at all. A, the scoring cast around cannot, handle a 3-2 game, and B, your goaltender cannot make 25 saves any given night. And it's nothing against Nedge too. His starts of the season was way better than Jarry's. But there's at times that he had his moments where he did not look like himself. And then when Blommer came up to start the season, when Nedge got hurt in preseason, we thought he was the answer. Remember the 60-save performance against Edmonton and McDavid's squad, where they eventually still lost the game, but you're like, damn, This kid's legit.
Yeah, I mean, he was start of the season. He was the only reason to watch them at all. It was just to see him, see your 87 point, and you were like, it's all you wanted. You didn't expect to win, and they still found a way to disappoint. I think Jari definitely should be bought out. I think
you won't take that cap hit right now?
Well, he's got 3 years left, so that takes it to what, a 6-year buyout?
I believe so.
And it would end up. He's what? Let me look here. He's at.
I ended up writing a whole article about this too.
Yeah,
so
he's
I should be the one that knows the numbers off the top of my head, but I don't.
Yeah, he's at 5.3 million. So that takes it to like little under 2.5, I think. No, a little over.
Cool. So for Jari's buyout, if they're elected to do so, with 3 years left, it'll be a 6-year buyout. And for this year, the Penguins would save $3.627 million. Next season, aka 26-27, would be $327,000. 2027-28 would be $827,000. This is in savings. And then the last 3 years would be an $800K cap casualty for buying him out. So, I mean, pretty much if you do elect to buy out Jari here, you're getting the savings for this year, and then the last 2 years is pretty much saying we just paying him to not be on the team.
Yeah. For me, a Jari buyout is less about the money and more about him just not being here anymore. Just not stop pulling on a Penguin jersey. I'm tired of seeing it. Especially with you want Miroshov to start taking consistent AHL reps next year and not split between the NHL or the ECHL and the AHL, excuse me. So then you already have Taylor Gauthier down there, who's incredible. You have Philip Larson down there. You have Blommer down there. You already have Ned. You already have Jari. Something has to give here. And if you think that Miroshov and Blommer are going to take you into the future with this new wave where you need a tandem of guys, I think Blommer gets an NHL, like more consistent NHL look this year, where he's up here for 20 starts, 25 starts. And then that frees up the AHL for Miroshov to take, and he plays more consistent. So then you just run Blommer and Ned, and you just kind of eat it for a year. We're not trying to be good next year anyway. We want Gavin McKenna.
I think that's the answer that every Penguin fan wants to hear is, like, let's at least try to make an effort at Gavin McKenna. Like, you either have to fully commit that we're going to suck, or we're saying, okay, we have all this draft capital. Should we go try and do something? I think the answer is no. You just bite the bullet here.
Yeah.
But I mean, Dubas, he's aggressive. I will say he is very aggressive when it comes to this kind of stuff. He's not used to being a rebuild. He was more, let's get the rebuild out and let's start competing.
Yeah, because he came into Toronto after they had already made that playoff series against Washington. And then the year after, I think, was his first season, which I'm drawing a blank on who they played in the playoffs, and was that 2018? Probably Boston, and they lost.
Probably Boston. If there's a really good chance it was Boston.
That's my guess, and they lost in TD Garden 7. So he's more used to, like, I have all my pieces in place. I have my core. Let's go compete right now. And this is his core is 39, 40 years old. Like, they're on the way out.
It's just intriguing to me what they eventually do over the next 2 weeks. We also don't know when the draft does come around. Are the Penguins picking 11 and 12? Like, the Rangers have 48 hours before the draft to decide that. Maybe it plays a little bit of a part in what they decide to do, because I don't feel like the Rangers, they will give that pick up. I think they'd be stupid not to, just in the off chance that they do suck next year and lose a lottery chance at getting Gavin McKenna. Because we saw the Islanders, they were, ranked 11th in the draft lottery, and they moved all the way up to 1?
They were 13th.
Was it 13?
And they went all the way up. I think it was rigged, though, but wait, what do I know?
Islanders haven't had the number 1 pick since John Tavares.
I think they got a little. They also, let's not forget, they were just screwed out of the NHL All-Star game. So
that's true.
I don't know. And then second was what? Utah gets second?
Well, Utah moved. They could only move up 10 spots or whatever it was, so they went up to 5th. I don't know. They suddenly rebrand.
Got to give them a little thank you for taking Arizona off our hands.
That, and I'm pretty sure Utah is just going to flip that 5th overall pick and go get like Noah Dobson. So the Islanders are going to probably pick twice in top 5. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
But going back to the goaltending, there's also another goaltender they signed. I forget his name off the top of my head, but he's going to be signed for the purpose of being assigned to ECHL Wheeling. So once again, they got to clear something up here. Yeah. There's realistically a chance here that, say, Jari does get bought out, you run with Nedge Blommer to start. And if Nedge puts up solid enough numbers since he is a UFA at the end of next year, you ship him off, and by March 2026, you were running Murashov and Blommer.
There's a chance, yeah. I would prefer, if Ned is balling, just send him at the deadline. Like what the Hawks did with Peter Mrazek this year. They just shipped him for essentially nothing, just to get rid of him and open it up. And then you run with Blommer and stick anybody in the net.
Even Philip Larson points. Like he's an able body.
By the trade deadline, we'll be so bad and so out of the race it won't matter. Just grab some homeless dude off the street and hand him a stick and say, have at it.
You're a goalie for the next 3 weeks.
You're going to be a goalie for about 3 NHL games. We're going to see how you do.
That's brutal. And I mean, the other talking point that we touched on before we started as well is there is a double-digit number. I don't know the exact double-digit number of games where the goaltender, most of them were number 35's fault, not 39's, where the first shot entered the back of the net. I'm pretty sure that number is 16 or 17. Out of 82 games, there are 16 or 17 times that puck entered the net on the first shot.
Yeah. There was once a streak, I think. Jari won
5 games in a row or something.
It was 5 games in a row giving up the first shot.
Insane.
Like, you're just not going to win. It's impressive to do, honestly. It's hard to do. I'm impressed that he was able to do it. But like, you're not going to win doing that. Being down 1-0 a minute and a half into the game off the first rip.
Do you think Andy Chiodo just let it in and then we'll just go from there?
Just get it out of the way. You're gonna do it already. Just do it and get it out of the way. Then just play hockey after that.
Andy Chiodo kept, by the way. He's still on the staff. He's the only remaining player that's on the staff. We'll touch on that one a little bit later. And we'll touch on buyouts here while it's kind of still in the window of possibilities. Ryan Graves can be a buyout. It's pretty ugly on this grand scheme of things. He didn't register a point until about 40-some games into the season. He's had 1 goal in, I think, 2 years. So not impressive from Ryan Graves, but he has 4 years left on his deal. His cap savings this year, if he was bought out, would be about $2 million. In 26 and 27 would be about $1.1 million. Year 4 would be $854,000. And then after that, they'd be on the hook for about $645,000 for the last 4 years. I mean, realistically speaking here, the last 2 years have been brutal with Ryan Graves. I feel like if you're the Penguins here and you're already committed to the tank, what's one more year going to do?
Yeah. I think he's bought out after next year. Because when I'm looking at this, you assume Carlson's gone. Letang will come back for another year. Even though apparently he wants to play until like his mid-40s.
I don't see it. There's too many problems with Chris Letang that I just look at it and go, is there really a reason to keep playing?
As a human being, stop. Like, you have kids. You've had like 3 strokes. You had that heart valve earlier. Like, stop. Go be a dad. It's okay. Like, you permanently live in the hearts of everyone in Pittsburgh.
You've made won your cups. Like, it's okay.
Whether they were on team trade Letang or not, at the end of the day, they'll look back one day and they're like, yeah, we loved 58. Like, just, you can be done. It's okay. We still love you. But so you have Letang 1, you have Graves 2, Pickering is probably 3, Kolyachonok, I would imagine, gets a rip. Timmins is an RFA.
You have Shea back for another year.
Yeah, you have St. Ivany who can come up and push for it. I don't think you give Brunke a look just yet.
I mean, he almost made the team out of camp, though. I mean, as an 18-year-old, he was literally 1 step away from making the NHL as a second-round pick in his first season. I mean, that's not impressive, but I still think
it's impressive. I just think, especially as a defenseman, a 19-year-old defenseman, like, just they're going to be terrible anyway. Just take your AHL season, learn, have a whole year of pro hockey. Like, it's okay. I think you can just take a year, relax a little bit.
Or you send them to the not the CHL, the NCAA for a year.
Yeah, I think you just you take your time with him. There's no rush just yet.
Speaking of that, you think Pickering stays in the AHL for a little while longer?
See, if it was Mike Sullivan, I would be saying that he's going to be on the NHL team and just a scratch.
True.
He'll play like a couple of games, and when he is, he'll be a top pairing guy, and then he'll play great. He'll have like a +4 game. We'll still lose the game like 8-4, and then he'll get scratched the next night.
Makes sense.
You never know. With Muse, I don't know. I don't know what kind of shenanigans he gets up to.
I mean, he's used to coaching the younger guys, so it makes sense.
I would play him in the NHL this year. Watching him last year, he looked good. So I would put him in the NHL, personally.
I would as well. And I'd say the same for Jackson Ivany, but he missed most of the year, if not all of the year, with a lingering injury. So it just it screwed up his year plus 1 year. He still would have been technically a rookie this year, but go back 2 seasons ago, I think St. Ivany was the bright spot of the blue line, if you want to really say. Like, you didn't have an expectation. You're just like, I didn't notice him on the ice, and you're like, that's exactly why he's there.
That's all you want out of a defenseman. I mean, if you're not prime Erik Karlsson, just don't be noticed. Just don't be noticed. If you're being noticed, it's probably not good as a defenseman.
And we saw that
dropping 100 points
with Ryan Graves.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed him way too much on the ice. You don't sign him for the offense, so you don't mind that he has like 3 points in 167 games or whatever it is. You don't really care about that, but he's awful defensively. It's horrible to watch.
Going in the other defensive note that we talked about prior to coming on here is, of course, we said that the Penguins gave a crap ton of goals throughout the season. This was a stat that I did not know until we started this. There's only a handful of players that are broke even in terms of plus minus. I know plus minus is a stat that not everyone loves to kind of go into the advanced analytics over. There's only a handful of players were even, and those are guys that played less than like 5 games for the most part. And the other 2 were Connor Timmins and Danton Heinen, who weren't even here the whole time.
Yeah, Timmins was a +9 with us, which is unbelievably impressive.
Yeah.
Heinen was a +3. Boko was a +2 in 16 games. Sam Poulin was a +1 in 7 games. That's all that was positive.
Insanity. Like, I get it's hard to, stay on the plus side of things, be like a +35 or whatever Devin Tays was this year. But, you can even get to like a +5, 6? Come on.
Well, when you're giving up the first goal a minute into the game every night.
Well, that's why Crosby lines down there.
You're dropping, what was that game? 8-0 to Dallas in the first period. 6-0, I think.
Might have been 6.
In the first period. Like, when that's happening. No wonder everyone's a minus.
All in all, at the end, they elect to fire Mike Sullivan. And does it come as a surprise? Kinda. I just felt like eventually you knew the time was coming for Mike Sullivan. And they said it was a mutual firing, if you want to call it that, parting of ways. I think Dubas pretty much said, here's your options. Play the young guys or get out. And he took the get out, took the buyout, and said, all right, I'm going to New York.
Yeah, I liked the firing. I don't think it was a firing. I think it was the same thing as Jim Rutherford, that he's too beloved in the city, and they didn't want to stick the fired term onto him and ruin the image that what was from when he was hired till like 2019, up until we lost to the Canadiens in the bubble, I would say. Like that golden run of Penguin hockey was beautiful to watch. And it was all Mike Sullivan. So I don't think they wanted to ruin that image. So it was a mutual parting, we'll say. Like how Jim Rutherford stepped down because that's the same situation. He built that team. He built all of them. They didn't want to slap fired onto that guy and ruin that image.
Now, if Dan Muse doesn't do what they expect to in 2 years, the word fire is going to get thrown around.
Oh, 100%. He'll get fired. If he doesn't go in and win like 3 cups in a row, fired.
The lifespan of an NHL coach now is like 3 years per team.
Yeah.
I think they said that Dan Muse or whatever he was the second to last head coach that was hired, because Marco Sturm was technically the last head coach to be hired, even though his was announced like 3 weeks prior. And then the Pete DeBoer firing happened. So Dan Muse is already number 30 on the list of like in terms of longest tenured NHL coaches.
Yeah, I thought for a little bit, because it was supposed to be Rich Love was going to be the coach.
Love, yeah.
That was like everything was pointing that way. It was all going there. It was all that. And then Peter DeBoer pulls his franchise goaltender 6 minutes into Game 7 or Game 6, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then he calls him out after the game and says, this guy, this Olympian can't beat the Oilers. How dare he? It's his fault we lost. This guy stinks. He didn't say that, but he kind of did.
Pretty much.
And professionally, he kind of did. So I kind of thought we were holding out, run Peter DeBoer, because that would make everyone happy. Because I know Sid still wants. He's hell bent on winning a cup this year. He's gonna do it in the black and gold if it kills him. So he doesn't want to rebuild. So that makes him happy. DeBoer still works with all the younger guys in Dallas, so it would work there. And it's not like he's experienced. He's not a Dan Muse who's never coached not professionally. He's never been a head coach in the NHL before. And then like 2 days later, Dan Muse was hired. So there goes my idea out the window. It came out of nowhere, and it kind of feels like a situation that Kyle Dubas is doing a classic Kyle Dubas and saying, I am the smartest. I know something all the rest of you idiots don't know. Y'all are morons. I'm right. And he just pulls this one out of his hat.
His nerdy glasses gone into his brain.
Yeah, I mean, he
started advanced analytics on this guy.
Taking the phones, working the calls. He's farming like those in the room clips with the phone, and he pulls this guy out of nowhere.
I want to see the in the room clip of that. Like for Dan Muse as well, he coached Rucker at the USNTDP. Like, did he call up Rucker and was like, "Hey, do you want me to hire your old coach?" Like,
hire your old?
You want me to hire my old coach? Yeah, your USA coach.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. Did you like playing for him? Yeah. All right, we're gonna hire him. Wait, what?
He's gonna be our NHL head coach now. He's got it.
Like, yeah, he was the assistant coach for the Rangers, and I think his side of things, he was fine. He wasn't, like he was kind of overshadowed by Phil Housley and of course Laviolette with the whole coaching problem in New York. But I don't think Muse, like all the Rangers fans, when they saw Muse, were like, damn, like that's the one guy we actually wanted to keep. And you're thinking, wait a minute, like was Dubas right?
Was he right? All of a sudden, were we all the morons and he was right? He saw something in the numbers that no one else did. I mean, maybe. I like the hiring, personally. I like all the coaching hirings. I think it's a very developmental group. Will they be the group in what? With McKenna, say 3 years, without McKenna 5 years, that take us into the playoffs and eventually start winning Stanley Cups? Probably not. But will they be the coaching staff that like pushes us to that point? I think so.
It's crazy to think like as well that, Crosby's 39, Malkin's 40, Letang's 38, and then Dan Muse is right there at 41. We'll touch on the assistants a little later, but there's 2 of them that are under the age of 40. And then you have one that is 55. So all of these guys are practically, I wouldn't say just retired, but for 2 of them, they really are just retired. One retired 3 days ago, and one started his coaching career 2 years ago. Like, that's insane to me that 3 guys on this roster could technically be playing in the National Hockey League right now.
Yeah. It kind of feels like not super similar, but it's like when the Hawks hired Jeremy Colleton
Mhm.
and Kane, Taves, Keith, Crawford, Seabrook, like that core was still there, and they were all like 29 to 34 was like the age range that they all fell in, and Colleton was like 36. And it's like, how am I going to be Patrick Kane? I'm Showtime, and I'm supposed to look this idiot who's 2 years older than me in the eyes as he's telling me to do something. Like, who do you think you are telling me what to do? So, like, I think maybe that's why they leaked the Geno news that he's out after this year. He's getting the boot. He's kicked out. Maybe. I don't think Letang has much longer in the black and gold, unfortunately. Whether it's retiring, being forced into it by his wife, getting a trade, going playing somewhere else. I don't know. Maybe that's part of the reason so that they avoid that situation. So that these guys kind of know, like, all right, this is a last ride in the black and gold, and then you're done. And Crosby, I mean, he's different than everyone else. There's nothing anyone can say to Sidney Crosby that he doesn't already know about the game at this point. So he's on his own. He's a little different.
It's definitely more, when the timeouts and the iPads and stuff, it's more him showing, left wing, lefty, like, hey, let's do this a little bit different. What am I seeing here? What are you seeing here? Like for Crosby, there's no teaching. It's just enhancing his skill. But going into Geno as well, like personally, me and you both know someone very close to Geno, and he's kind of said under the radar a couple times, like, hey, it's getting closer.
Yeah, it's this is where the game sucks. This is where it sucks because I've grown up, and every time I've turned on the TV, 87's first line's going out there. He comes off, 71's second line's going out there. And the Pens are unreal, and it's so fun to watch. And you fall in love with these guys. 87, 71, 58, 29. You fall in love with these guys. And then the business side comes and smacks you back in the face into reality. We already had it happen with Fleury. And now, unfortunately, it's Geno's time. And I think Letang's is pretty soon. And Sid could do this till he's 50. I have no idea.
I wouldn't put it past Sid, to be honest with you. I think at the end of the day, Sid, even if he decides to call it quits tomorrow, like he's going to stay a Penguin forever. I think there's no scenario where they go, do you want to play somewhere else? Like, and keep playing? He's no, I want to be a Penguin. You want to go play with McKinnon? Nah, I'm good. I'll just hang it up. But like with Geno, is there a scenario, say February rolls around, and Penguins obviously suck. They're in the McKenna tank, and they go to Geno and they go, "Hey, are you leaving to go to the KHL after this year? And do you want to go try for another cup?" Does Geno say yes and go to Florida for their three-peat? Does he go to Tampa? Does he go to Carolina? Is there a realistic possibility that Geno waives his no-move clause for his last 3 months in North America to go try to get a cup?
I say yes. It's possible. It's possible, but I would say unlikely. Because I hate to say this with everything in me. He's not great anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a great hockey player anymore. He's bad defensively, and he's never been great defensively. But he's always been so dynamic offensively that it hasn't mattered. Like, no one's cared. And now that he's slowing down a little bit, he's not as dynamic as he once was. So I don't know. Even if he says to the Penguins, yeah, like, I'll go to Florida. I'll go to Tampa. I'll go to Toronto. I'll go to Vegas. Like, I'll go to one of these teams. I don't see them, like, where does he fit on Florida's roster?
So where's the money work? Because they have, $18 million to try to bring back Ekblad, Bennett. Who else am I missing out of that group?
Bennett just announced his own contract extension the other day in his
I think it was an accident, but yeah.
8-year deal something. he said he'd put it up on some board like 8 more years with a question mark, and then in his wasted state, he goes, "I ain't leaving," and it was like I don't think he was supposed to say that, but he did.
I imagine that he gets at least $8 million. On the open market, he would have got 10 or 11. I think 8 or 9 is probably where he ends up, and then Marchand's probably going to be around 3 or 4. I'd love to see how Florida makes the money work for the rest of the team. And then imagine that, then taking Gino's $8-9 million contract, obviously in half plus salary retention, would be like 2.5. It's still insane to see. Try to see Florida make that work.
Yeah, I think if he's moved, it has to be a 3-team deal, so that he's down to like a $2 million guy tops. And even then, like, I look at it and it's like, is he really worth it? Like, he's gonna put up like, there's what, 15, 20 games for teams post trade deadline. He's gonna put up like 7 points.
It's not gonna be a lot. It's also not like as well where, you know, Marchand, you're 37, 38 years old, and you got put on the third line for like a role to just be a rat. It's like Gino, I don't think has the ability to be a rat, if that makes sense.
No, I don't think anymore. Because his whole thing was he gets mad, he punches you in the nose, and he goes and scores a goal on you.
Mm.
And now he can just punch you in the nose. Like, he's not going to go walk through all 6 Tampa Bay Lightning that are on the ice like he did in that one clip that we've all seen 100 times. Marchand was different because he's better defensively. He can kill penalties. He can lick people's faces. He'll spit on you. He'll do anything it takes to go win that hockey game. Gino, I don't see licking anyone's face in the playoffs. I struggle to see it really hard.
I'd love to see him try. I mean, I think the hockey world would love that and be like, wow, Gino's back to his angry self. Look at him. He's going to him and Marchand are getting in a 2v5 versus the whole team. They're licking people. Yeah, let's go.
They're just licking dudes. Yeah. I mean, who doesn't want to see that in a playoff series?
Come on, Bill Zito. Get on the phone. Let's make a deal here. I think Penguins fans would be, well, I think it's like the Boston scenario. You're going to be pissed that he gets traded for a flat-out first-round pick, and then he goes and wins a cup, and you're like, okay, like, I got to feel happy for him.
Yeah, all right. I think you're mad at the Penguins, but you're not mad at him.
Exactly. You respect, like, okay, your team's not going anywhere. If he has a chance to go do it.
Go lift her one more time. Like, go give her one more dance.
I don't care. Sid's staying here no matter what.
Yeah, no, he's not. I don't see a world where they approach Sidney Crosby and they're like, "Hey, do you want to go play for the Avalanche?" And he says yes.
Hell no.
I don't see it. I don't see it.
Speaking of the time of this recording, guess what's in 1 week from today?
The draft.
That's right. And we'll both, I think, be on the Between the Benches Hockey Draft Live podcast. Caleb covering the Chicago Blackhawks. I'll cover the Penguins and the LA Kings. It's going to be fun. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I'm excited. It'll be a good time.
Bold prediction right now. Who's going 3 to you guys of Chicago?
Frundell.
It's bold.
Unfortunately.
Penguins wise, I don't know. Jackson Smith, maybe. I'd like to see Brady Martin fall. We'll touch on that. We'll have a little pre-draft episode come out sometime next week before we hop on Dalton with his guys. We'll examine the Penguins, see if they make a move. There's rumors they could jump up to maybe number 3 with Chicago, because I heard they're in the market to move out. Porter Martell is the name that's been thrown around.
Yeah, the Hawks are looking to go big game fishing here, and they will use that third.
I have a nice shiny Erik Karlsson that'd like to be in the black and orange.
No.
Nah.
No.
You just bought out TJ Brody. You don't need any more defensemen.
Thank God. We can build probably 9 defensemen with guys under 24 years old right now anyway. We don't need anybody. We're chilling.
Hey, if we're looking at Erik Karlsson trade the draft, I'm looking at Utah at 5.
Yeah, I agree. I think they use it for Dobson, but I think depending on how much he's wants, which I've heard it's like $11 million.
No, I would not pay Dobson $11 million.
No, I would prefer Erik Karlsson's washed Like, he's pathetic now, but I take him at what, $3 million over Dobson at 11.
The thing with EK is you're 100% going to get salary retention on the deal too. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way that Carlson does not get shipped off, and the Penguins say we'll take 10% for the next 2 years or 15%.
Yeah, you're going to get him at like a $5 million guy for 2 more years. I'll eat 50%.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. As long as you give
He's
us
only
that number 3 pick or 5 pick or whatever it is, sure, we'll take whatever.
Yeah, I'll eat $5 million for sure.
It's not like we can use it anyway. How, like, there's no reason that we can't help out a team as long as we can get a guy that can play, for the next 5 to 7 years.
Yeah, for sure. I think, speaking of trades, I think Rickard Rakell should absolutely be shipped off. He has never put up a consistent 25 goal year, and all of a sudden he drops 40 or whatever he did.
He had an insane year. I think it's not realistic.
His shooting percentage was at 28%. That's not going to keep going. That's not going to stay.
Dubas said at the deadline as well that all the offers he got were not even close. I just wondered what was the offer that a team gave for Rakell? Was it like a first and a B-level prospect? And Dubas is like, you know what? Let's wait till the offseason. We can get Isaac Howard. Tampa realistically is a spot where I see Rakell going, and I kind of see an Isaac Howard in a 1 for Rakell or a 2 or something like that.
Especially with Tampa, I hate to say this. I hate it so much. I think you send him Brian Rust.
That's another guy I've seen thrown around a lot. Apparently, there's north of 10 teams that have called the Penguins already around Brian Rust.
Well, because he is an incredible player. He can play on your top line. He can play on your fourth line. He can power play, penalty kill. He can do whatever you want him to do. He, sadly, embodies the black and gold. The whole city is, you can look at Brian Rust and say, yeah, that's a Pittsburgher. So it sucks to say that we should send him out, but you could easily get Isaac Howard and a first this draft for him.
Take it all day.
100% I take that. And yeah, Crosby's going to be mad at you because he's losing his winger, but it's just what it has to happen. It's what just has to happen.
As a Pens fan, though, if you look at day 1 of next season and your first line is Isaac Howard, Sidney Crosby, and Rucker McGrory, you got to look at them and be like,
I'm not as mad.
Nasty. Give this a year. It's going to be nasty.
I'm not as upset. And then you follow up with your second line of Koivunen, Gino's last dance, and Tomasino maybe.
You got to remember, too, the Pens more than likely are going to be a broker for some salary dump, too, like they did with Kevin Hayes last year. So it could be someone completely random that we're not even thinking of.
Yeah, there's no way we could be thinking of unless we search the entire league for every bad contract forward that we can find.
Marc-Edouard Vlasic, you are a Pittsburgh Penguin.
Pittsburgh Penguin.
DJ Brody, welcome to Pittsburgh, buddy. Welcome to the
You got a nice shiny Ryan Donato if you want him.
You just signed him to a 4x4. I don't know what the hell Davidson's thinking on that one, by the way.
So much. I hate it so much.
What a great deal for a guy that's never produced anything until this season.
I hate that so much. I can't stand it.
Hey, well, speaking of free agency news, we've seen a couple of moves from the Penguins so far this offseason. One of them bad, one of them good. Vasily Ponomarev heads to the KHL. Philip Hallander, the old third-round pick, makes his way back from the Swedish Hockey League. Start with Ponomarev. He had a couple of games in the National Hockey League this season for Pittsburgh, had a couple in Carolina last year, part of the Jake Gensel trade. We had some good underlying numbers in Wilkes, gets the recall to Pittsburgh. And it was kind of disappointing as the fourth-line center. He was decent in the face-off circle, okay on the penalty kill, wasn't really that productive offensively, though, many Penguins fans kind of hoped.
Yeah, and I know he asked the team for full-time NHL minutes, guaranteed. So I would have also said no, because I don't think he's ready for it. So development-wise, I don't hate him going to the KHL if he comes back, obviously. I think going over, and I would assume he's a top line, second line at worst center on a team. on a pro team on the second best league in the world for a whole year. What is it, a 3-year deal he signed?
I believe so. So it'd be until 2028 is when he's eligible to come back.
I think so. I don't know how old he is or how old he'll be. But I don't hate it development-wise. He can come back as soon as we start like reascending the standings, so to say.
Currently 23, so it puts him at 26 coming back, which is similar to what Philip Hallander is coming back as well.
Yeah, I think Hallander can definitely push for some NHL minutes now, coming back over from the SHL.
I think there's more of a chance of a guy like Hallander producing on an everyday basis for this team. I think he takes over a spot of a guy like Valtteri Puusin, where he's more maybe the first guy that gets called up from Wilkes, or he squeaks into the roster on the opening day just to see what you have.
He's like
Puusin, this is the last chance for him.
Yeah, I agree. I think he looked great in that push we had last year, in the playoff push.
Mm-hmm.
I loved watching him play. Him and like St. Ivany, I was thinking these guys are
future.
Like, we can start building here. Obviously, they're not going to be top line guys. They're not your 100-point player that you need, but they're a piece. Nice top 4, top 9 guy. And then Puusin kind of flopped this year. Doesn't make the team out of camp. Goes down to Wilkes-Barre. Doesn't really come back. And then when he does, he's for the most part invisible.
Mm-hmm.
So I would give it to Hallander first. I would start him as like your 11 through 14th forward on the depth chart and just kind of see what happens.
Was one of the top scorers in the SHL this year. Ended up winning, I think, SHL Player of the Year or something along those lines. So the Swedish Hockey League is not an easy league to play in either. I mean, in terms of competitors, you have the National Hockey League, the KHL, and it's probably the SHL. And then maybe the league on the AHL.
I would put it NHL at 1, KHL at 2, SHL definitely at 3. I think the SHL could compete with 2 for the KHL, and then Liga and the AHL is how I would look at those 5, and then the ECHL, and then you start getting into like the Fed and that, all that, and then it's just like, all right, we're only focused on these like on these 6 for year 7. I put up 6.
The DL.
Yeah, we're not getting into the Czech Republic League. Like we can chill out with these 5. We got these 5
with Yager at Kladno.
Yeah, go rip with Jaromir Jagr.
I saw something the other day for our Iron City boys in the APHL, the league below the Fed. They got ranked like the 26th highest league in North America or something, or 23rd. I was like, oh, we're making some strides up here.
We're making progress. We're getting somewhere.
We were like 40 when the year started. Now we're like 23.
We're moving up soon.
Partnered with the Blue Ridge Bobcats.
No one's going to be talking about the NHL. They're going to talk about the APHL pretty soon. No one will care.
Those guys are making little to nothing, and they're better than NHL players. What do you mean?
I mean, who? Connor McWho? Like Leon who? No. Give me the APHL.
Shout out the Buffalo Tempest for winning the APHL championship this year. What a team. Other free agency news. 2 more players re-signed. I know some certain OCSN people are very happy with these 2 coming back. Boko Imama and Joona Kapanen. Boko Imama is a guy that I think every Penguins player in the organization just loves. He's not the most skilled player, but my God, is he going to go out there and he's going to kick some ass if you need him to.
I don't know if he has any skill, honestly. I might be more skilled than him personally. But he will show up at the rink every day, give it 125% effort. He will punch you in the nose for the puck, and he will go as hard as he possibly can 100% of the time, which is why everyone in the rink at any given moment adores the man. And that's really, I mean, every team needs someone like Boko Imama.
I remember when the news broke that he re-signed, I think multiple Penguins players like St. Ivany, Rucker, Like, even the Penguins' social media was like, yeah, we got Boko back. Everyone's like, why are you celebrating Boko back? Like, well, he's going to be your 13th forward, and when he plays and he goes out against Tom Wilson, at least puts up a fight, and you go, oh, that's why we love him.
Yeah, that's why you can't get enough of him.
And then you got Joona Kapanen. Had some time in the NHL this year. He was here for the last 2 seasons in a Pittsburgh uniform. Ended up getting into 11 games this season. Scored 1 goal. He's just your filler, call up if you need kind of guy. But, I mean, at times, I honestly thought Kapanen was a capable player at the NHL level. Honestly, depending who they move out, there's a very decent chance that Kapanen might actually make the team at a camp.
There is a shot. I don't hate it at all either. He's obviously not the most skilled man in the world either. And he's not as Patrick Hornquist-esque as Boko Imama is. But I still thought he was a good player. I still think he could help a team win.
Am I hearing Boko first power play?
I put him up with Crosby. Put him in front of the net. He'll go score the Game 6 Stanley Cup clinching goal. That's what I'm hearing.
I'm not saying shouldn't do it.
What do we have to lose?
There's no Stanley Cup final Game 6 happening anytime soon. Why not?
Exactly. Like, just go for it. What's the worst that could happen?
I mean, looking at the new coaches, which gets into our next talking point. As of today, this worked out perfectly. Todd Nelson, Nick Bonino, and Rich Kloon, the new assistants under Dan Muse's staff. And then Andy Chiodo, as we mentioned earlier in the stream, comes back as the goaltending coach. The initial name you look at when you see this list is Nick Bonino. 3 days ago, he retired. And there was possible news from Dejan Kovacevic that he was going to join as an assistant coach. It ends up being true. And now the Penguins have the most bald coaching staff in the National Hockey League. But Nick Bonino gets a chance right off the get-go to be an assistant coach. You think it's going to work, or you think this is more for sentimental reasons?
Well, first, I think they're going to require everyone in training camp to shave their head. I think that's going to be a team initiation thing. The moment you walk into the rink, you're going bald. The whole organization is going to be bald.
Kyle Dubas with no hair is kind of scary.
I can't imagine Sidney Crosby without hair. Imagine like 26-year-old Sidney Crosby with his like patchy beard, nothing up top, nothing at all.
Scary. Bald Gino might fuel him though.
Bald Gino might revert back to like 23-year-old Gino. Yeah. And like that, he might all of a sudden crank it back in time and be incredible again.
But I need the soundboard too, where Bonino, I can just hit the call from Singe from Canada during the 2016 Cup. Bonino.
That's my first thought every time I think about Nick Bonino, is that goal call. I think as a coach, he'll be all right. I think he'll be all right. I don't know. We don't know what any of these guys are doing specifically. We don't know. We think Nelson will run the power play. We were talking earlier. You think Rich Kloon will run the penalty kill. I think Nick Bonino will run the penalty kill personally. It could
be a shared thing as well. Like Ty Hennis was kind of involved with last year with kind of like more skill based, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah.
So maybe it just kind of like everyone kind of just jumps around.
Maybe. We don't know exactly what these guys are doing yet. I think Nick Bonino will work out though. He always seemed like a guy that all of his teammates really enjoyed being around and liked having. Obviously, he wasn't the most skilled man in the world, but he was still a good hockey player. He was still probably second line center, some good teams. I mean, no, not right now, but like in his prime. I think he'll be all right. I think he'll figure it out.
Yeah, I think it also works as well as a guy that already knows the city, already knows Sid very well. He knows Gino very well. He knows Tanger very well. He knows the organization as a whole. Like, it's a guy that comes in, you can just plug and go. Like, he's not like Nelson or Kloon or Muse that has like an adjustment period. I think it'll be seamless more for Bonino than anyone else. Like, it's just like you just never left. Only you're not fully suiting up. You're just staying on the bench. Because we already know he was very vocal. He was kind of the leader, like the unsung kind of guy. So already has that skill. It's not like you have to teach him. It's more now transition from player to coach.
Yeah, learning how to take it from being on the bench and on the ice and in game to just behind the bench and telling it to these guys instead of like showing them almost. Because it was important back when we acquired him. That was what the Penguins needed, was that third line center. What Brandon Sutter couldn't do was be a leader for the team. Like, because obviously Crosby is a leader. We all knew that. Gino is Gino. But like, you needed that third figure to anchor the team and to be able to lead from there. So I think he's done it 100 times. I think he'll be all right. I think it'll take him a little bit to adjust to coaching and not playing. But I think after he figures it out, he'll be fine.
Another player that he was with was Matt Cullen, who's still within the organization as well. I heard his name brought up as a possible assistant coach. Ultimately, does not happen, but he stays with the organization. The name that everyone kind of circles back to on this hiring sheet as well is Todd Nelson. Was actually brought up as a candidate for the head coaching job for the Penguins. He did head coach the Oilers back in the later 2000s. Was most recently with Hershey for the last handful of seasons. Won 2 Calder Cups back-to-back in 23 and 24. Got the Bears pretty far again in 2025. And now joins the Penguins as an assistant. He's going to be the oldest guy on the staff at 55 years old, but also the guy with the most experience. As you look at Bonino, first-year coach, and Clunes only had about 2 or 3 years of coaching. Muse, in terms of NHL standards, has only been a couple of seasons as well. Nelson's your guy that's been around the block here. I think every staff kind of just needs that one guy, and Nelson seemingly is going to be that for Pittsburgh this year.
Yeah, especially with his experience working with the AHL, with back-to-back cup wins with Hershey that he had. I think he'll be fine with the development side of it. And then he works because he's the older figure. Like, he's not Bonino, who's like 38, something like that. Muse is like 41. Clune is under 40. He's like that older, more, I don't know what the term is.
He's been around
veteran leadership.
A veteran coach.
So we'll say. We'll go with that. I think it's important, especially with all the younger guys. Like, if your whole team is under 45 years old, probably not going to be a good thing. I mean, GM included, everyone's under 40.
Because Dubas is only, late 40s?
Yeah, Dubas isn't that old. So then, like, there's just not much in terms of real, like, long experience.
I'm not including Kyoto in this, too, who was drafted the same year as Fleury. So he's also in the same category of, like, under, like, 45.
Yeah, he's, like, 42 years old then. So, like, I think every team needs the one guy that's a little older and more experienced.
It's a hire that seems to have a lot of positive reaction. The one that everyone was kind of mixed on was Rich Clune, who was under Greg Cronin and Anaheim staff. Ultimately, Cronin got the boot. Now he got hired in the AHL, I believe, coached Calgary's minor league system. But Clune spent a lot of time with the Marlies, so he was used to seeing Kyle Dubas. Obviously did not make his team, but was in the AHL affiliate. Retired, had his little spark in the AHL coaching, ended up joining Anaheim, now is here. If you remember Rich Clune when he was in the NHL, or even just from his AHL, it wasn't more of a skill guy. He was more of a physical presence, more of a leader, more of a guy that gets guys going more than puts up on the score sheet. This is another guy, I think, that, maybe pushes the let's be a little bit more of a physical team than maybe more of a skill-based team, because Muse likes to lock it down defensively. So you have a guy in Bonino, was a center, two-way. Clune, a guy that was physical, gritty, not really going to score goals. Then you have Nelson be the skill guy. Like, I looking at the staff from afar, I think you have every kind of base covered that you want to in a young staff.
I think this is one that Dubas is learning from Toronto a lot. Because Toronto still, and it's too late for them to change now. It's the same thing with, like, if you have kids, all their habits are developed 7 years old and younger. So then once you've reached 15, it's so hard to change a habit the Leafs built on skill. And they built all this way up on skill, and now they're getting demolished by Florida, who just beats them up every game. So I think this is more Dubas learning from that, and he's dead set on teaching his younger core, we are not a skilled team. We're not going to, as Herb Brooks said, you're not good. You're not skilled enough to win on skill alone. Like, we have to beat guys up. We have to be physical. We have to play defensively. That's the only way to win in this league.
You look at Rucker as well. What was the main, what does he need to work on when he gets to Wilkes? Physicality and skating. The two, big things be like, hey, I want you to be more tenacious going to the wall. I need you, if you're net front, I want you going for the body. I want you doing this. And that's where, a guy like Clune or Bonino would just be like, look, I've been here. I've done this. Dude, I know the ways around this. I can teach you this. And then you can even ask Sid. Sid's not the most physical dude, but you watch over the last 6-7 years, him sticking up for himself, him getting a little bit more gritty. That's just the way the game is played now. It used to be, old-time hockey, beat each other up, then it went to, maybe need more skilled again. And now it's more like, all right, you need both.
Yeah. And even that both, as Florida is showing us, has to have a little grit into them too. Like Matthew Tkachuk will eat you alive, and then he'll go score a hat trick on you. You kind of need, not obviously he's a once generation player, I guess we'll say, because his dad did the same thing. His brother's doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. I'm going to guess in, I don't know, give it 15, 20 years, there's going to be a little Bobby Tkachuk running around who's going to go do the same thing in the NHL, and we're going to be terrorized for another 15, 20 years. But I think this is showing McGroarty and Koivunen and Brunke when he's up here, and if we get McKenna or whoever we take this year, next year, all these younger guys are yeah, you're skilled. That's great. That's cool. But you can't win off of just skill. That's cool. That'll get you to a Game 7 in TD Garden that you're going to lose annually. It's going to be a yearly thing. That's cool. If you want to do that, go pull on the blue and white. We're not doing that here.
As we talked about, you said, the draft pick, there's one guy, Brady Martin, that is the hottest name, I'd say, in terms of draft, coming up the boards. Isn't the totally most skilled player, but everyone says he plays like a Tkachuk. And that's why anyone has him range from 5 to 12. He's not getting past the Penguins, I promise you that. They took him out to dinner. If he's there, he's a Penguin. But that kind of guy just fits the mold so well. And then there's Kayshawn Aitchison that I sent you video and I said, can you imagine if the guy is a Penguin? You go, yes, put him in a black and gold right now. This dude will just light somebody up and then end up being a Chris Letang on the blue line.
Yeah. I think that's why Dubas is so interested in Porter Martone as well. Everyone compares him to Tkachuk with just a little less bite. But you can teach that, really. I think they do move up for it, but that's next episode. So we'll save that.
They do. I think that might be the biggest blockbuster, and then that's really saying something if they go up and get Porter at 3 or 4 or whatever it may be.
I think they kind of set the tone with this coaching staff and this coaching hire. And then they go reinforce that with Martone in the draft.
At the end of the day, if the Penguins somehow walk out with one of Isaac Howard or Porter Martone out of, I'm calling it all of free agency as well, I call that a successful offseason right there. Because Howard's another guy that just has that grit to him. He's not the most flashy, but he's going to be, a guy that gets under your skin and can score some goals.
Yeah. I think that's also why all the Rich Love stuff that we saw before Muse was hired, and I think he was just not too skill-based or offensive-based, but he wasn't this, bite, grit kind of guy that Muse can teach them to be.
Remember Muse as well as USNTDP. I, coached at the NCAA rank. His job was to develop young talent. Yeah. Love was AHL, so it's kind of, but you also have, your Rich Clunes of the world that were on that team. So there you go, taking one from every level. Like you can appease everybody with each one of the guys on the staff.
Yeah, I agree.
It's going to be interesting to see how the next couple of weeks do play out. As we said, we are going to plan to do a pre-draft episode before Dalton goes along with his show, if it is next week at this time or earlier. We'll touch on some of the guys that we could maybe see in the black and gold. Hopefully by that point we do know what the Rangers decide to do with their pick. That is a 48 hours prior to decision that they do have to make. But knowing Chris Drury, he's not the smartest GM in the world. So maybe the Rangers do hold on and they ultimately suck, and then the Penguins get McKenna based off the Rangers pick. But we don't know. That's for a couple of days from now to decide. But the buyout window is open as of tomorrow, I believe. The Blackhawks are the only team so far to supposedly have a buyout, and that's TJ Brody.
Yes, build that one a little early. Shocker to everyone who watched any of the red and black.
The Penguins have a possibility with Graves and Jari. Maybe they see if they can get a little bit of bite on the trade market. I doubt it, but we'll see what happens.
Maybe. You never know.
And then, of course, restricted free agency as well ends looming. We'll see what happens with guys like Connor Timmins, Connor Dewar, and some of the other UFAs like Matt Grzelcyk return. But this has been episode 1 of Yinz on Ice. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Visit oldcitysportsnetwork.com. Use the promo code at checkout if you want to get some merch, get some money off as well. I know everyone loves to save some money. But Caleb, thanks for joining me. We'll be back next week. Yinz on Ice Season 1, Episode 2, coming in a couple of days' time.